Yo, what is up, everyone? I'm back with another video. Today I'm talking about the new episode of Love and Marriage Detroit. That's episode 7 of season 1. This is a pretty good episode, so let's get started. We pick up at this big fight going on between Kristina and Kolby. Kristina is trying to make things right, trying to have a conversation, but Kolby is going full ratatata. Like, don't ever call my husband. You're fake. You're manipulative. I mean, she was becoming unhinged. And the crazy part is how calm Kristina was given Kolby's attitude. So since they are battling it out, Kolby brings up that Kristina had pillow talk with Brandon, and she most likely said that she was a copycat, and that's why Brandon called her Kolby Cat. And Kristina says, you know what, at the end of the day, he said it. What he feels is not always what I feel, so that's on him. Kolby says she understands, but they are one through marriage, and they were supposed to be cool with each other. So Kristina says, well, I apologize on Brandon's behalf. Kolby does calm down a little bit after that, and she says that, you know what, I was wrong as well, and she apologizes for being so defensive the day of the skating ring. She says, I'm human and I'm still learning. Kristina says, okay, this is a great opportunity to clearly understand each other, so she does forgive her. She says that she loves Kolby, and then she invites her to a brunch that she's having later this weekend, and they hug it out. So at least there was some resolution. Then moving on to Mr. Messy, Anthony. He's in the middle of a photo shoot. He's behind the scenes. It's for some collaboration with like a handbag. So now I am very confused onto what he does. Then Dr. LaToya walks into the building. She says to him that, we haven't talked in a while. And he says, as soon as this is all over, we'll spend more time with each other. And then he goes on to tell her about the Bible study fight that he had with Brandon over Britney, the publicist. He's telling LaToya that Brandon is a liar and that Kristina and Brandon don't understand Detroit code. LaToya continues to give her same old disclaimer like last week. I don't like drama. Ma'am, cut that out. We know you like drama because you keep on bringing it. But she goes on to say that she needs to talk to Kristina, and she's also planning a trip for the couples to connect and for the friends to connect as well. She says that she has a lot of games planned out and a lot of trivia. Then moving along, Kristina and Brandon go on a date night. They've been busy, they've been having problems, public blowouts, but after they met with their marriage mentors, they are going to really try and work things out. So they're having this date, they're opening up, and she said something very interesting. She says that in her marriage, she never felt protected against people like his family or other people. Like as a wife, she never felt that he protected her. And that's a problem because a man's job in a marriage is supposed to be the protector. So I'm glad that she was able to identify that and that she said it to him. She also says that he needs to know her better because they've been together 11 years, but who she was 11 years ago is not the same person she is now. And then he says, well, I got a question for you. Do you really know me that well? So that was a good question because, this is a relationship. It's two sides to the problem. So then Kristina sort of brings up his mom and the fact that Brandon has a really hard time hearing others onto, knowing what to do. So Kristina compares him to a brick wall. So Brandon thinks that he might need to go back and heal things from his childhood and upbringing to be able to work on their marriage. Then he does something super cute. He grabs her by the hand and he screams out loud to the entire restaurant, everybody, attention. This is my wife and this is the best wife anyone could ask for, and we're going to be married forever. She was blushing so hard and it was a lovely day. I liked it. Then we get a scene with Anthony. He goes to meet with a producer and he's discussing the showcase that he's doing, and he wants this man to be a judge. And he's also inviting him to a meeting because he agreed to be a judge. And he says, well, you definitely know Bravo, and your other little friend Brandon is on it too. So childish. Anthony, you a grown man. Grow the hell up. But it looks like Brandon doesn't really get along with this producer. So that's interesting. And I think that Anthony knows exactly what he's doing by bringing this guy along. because then this guy continues to talk about Kristina and about how big of a star she is because he worked for her a long time ago, and then he gets up and plays a record that Kristina recorded a while ago. She's a good singer, but the whole thing just seems so shady and uncomfortable for me because, like, I know they were talking about her talent and the music or whatever, but it sort of sounded like they were, like, lusting over her talent. It was weird, just given the fact that she's married and Brandon and all of that. But moving along, LaToya goes and picks up Kolby. They are on their way to Kristina's brunch. Kolby thanks her for going to her birthday party, and she brings up the Kristina fight. Kolby says that even though Kristina apologized for what Brandon said, she needs Brandon to apologize to her in front of Russell. Okay, now you're doing too much. And she's contradicting herself because first she wants to hold Kristina accountable for what Brandon said. But when Kristina apologizes for Brandon, Kolby says, oh, Brandon needs to be held accountable for what he said. What? Are you dumb? Like, you're contradicting yourself. It makes no sense. Okay, but here comes the gossip and the pot stirring. Kolby brings up the phone call that Kristina made to Russell and how messed up that was. But then she includes the Anthony and LaToya part into the mess with Britney and the agent. They're still talking about this. But the way that Kolby is giving it to LaToya, this information is really making LaToya mad. And she starts to go off saying, I don't play these games. The enemy likes to do this. I mean, the true definition of reaching. But then the women arrive to Kristina's event. Brandon is there helping Kristina set up. It was not too big. It was like maybe 50 to 60 women max. But the setup was very nice. As Kolby is sitting on the table, she sees that Brandon is there and she says to LaToya, I'm not speaking to Brandon today because my husband's not here. Okay? But in the table, one of Kristina's friends, whose name is Chelsea, is sitting there and she's listening to everything that Kolby is saying, and she doesn't really like what she's hearing, and she also doesn't want things to get out of hand. So she says that, but Kolby says, oh no, everything is fine. Then Kristina takes the mic and thanks everyone that's there, and then she leads with a prayer. I love seeing that they incorporate a lot of prayer and stuff. And then everyone begins to eat. LaToya does mention the couples weekend trip really quickly, and then Kristina gets back up and introduces a preacher who preaches to them, and the message was actually beautiful. Of course they edited it, they didn't show the entire sermon, but the bits they showed were very powerful. But Dr. LaToya says that the Lord spoke to her and now he's telling her to go confront Kristina. Really, LaToya? But she does. She pulls Kristina to the side. Toya says, in the spirit of transparency and sisterhood, I have to bring up what Kolby told me earlier about what you said about Anthony. And Kristina says, oh, what did she say? And LaToya says, you know what you said. So you can see how patronizing she was being from the very beginning. And what happened to not liking the drama, Dr. LaToya? But let's continue. Kristina says, well, yeah, the publicist mentioned that you guys didn't like me and that Anthony told Britney Russell and Kolby had an issue with me. LaToya is getting very annoyed and she says, Anthony never said anything about you. And by the way, I don't trust your husband, Brandon. And Kristina says, well, I don't trust your husband, Anthony, because Britney personally called me. Kristina says, why are you even arguing with me over something that Britney told me? And Toya says, let me tell you something about who I am. And Kristina says, no, let me tell you something about who I am because you're not going to talk to me like this in my event. And LaToya says, well, you ruined my event. And I'm guessing she's talking about the wine tasting when Kristina had that freak out, which she does have a point. But then LaToya calls Kristina conniving. And Kristina says, you were always trying to find something bad about me, like at the skating ring. And they start to go back and forth. And LaToya pretty much diagnoses her. I'm not even kidding. She says, I spent 8 years getting my doctorate. And I know how to observe human behavior and their language and how they move around. So she was insinuating that Kristina was a bad person, I guess you could say. LaToya told Kristina, you don't even have the decency to call people back. And Kristina says, and what does that have to do with you, ma'am? I lost it when she said that. She's so real. She said, what does that have to do with you, ma'am? But it just seemed like no matter what Kristina would have said, LaToya was just very defensive. And Kristina, the thing I noticed about her is that in these arguments that she's had with the women, she's never mad. It's always the other ones who are freaking out. And I also want to point out that the other two, Kolby and LaToya, seem to go to name calling, because they've both said to Kristina, you're fake, you're conniving, you're a manipulator. And if you notice, Kristina has not said any names to any of them, so that's the interesting part. I think this is way too much. Let Kristina live. LaToya is messy, Kolby is messy, but this show's getting really good. And next week is going to be that couples trip, and we're gonna see some of that drama with that producer. I knew it was gonna cause drama with Brandon and Anthony, so we'll see how that plays out. But you guys, let me know, what are your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about Dr. LaToya confronting Kristina? Whose side are you on? Please let me know anything else you want to tell me, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll catch y'all next time. You'll have a great one. Bye.